And that's when he says, 2 fish are in a tank. One of them looks to the other and goes, how do we drive this thing? That was a bad one. Oh,
I wasn't ready for that.
when you Google classic one-liners and that's one, I don't know. Had to try it out. But welcome everyone to ZZP Power Hour number 160. Today we are talking about last week's racing conquests, and we got a special guest here today, Mr. Alan Mayo. If you were here, 3 years ago?
Long time
It was
ago.
a long time ago. Our setup has changed. Things are a little different now. You know, more or less professional, who knows, but
Yeah, like this guy was basically like, I'm going to buy this Camaro and I want to go really fast with it.
yeah.
Like, did you even drive it stock besides driving it to us?
My wife picked up a dog in it.
Okay.
She went to Ohio and get a dog. I mean,
so it's already picked up a dog, and now it's going nines.
Yeah. And I was joking about like, we should bring a trailer that thing. It's got like 2,000 miles on it, runs nines. Like, this has got bring a trailer written all over it.
2,600.
My truck passed it, and I picked that up 2 months ago.
I think Bo is saying we haven't even gotten the email about the oil change from the dealer.
still got the break-in oil in it.
Yeah, no, not quite. But before we get to the race and recap and talking a little bit more, I'm going to go over our featured product today. I grabbed this. I was walking around the shop. For those who don't know, this is our W-body tubular control arm, but as you can see, it's not black yet. It's pre-coating, and it'll be hard to see in the video, but the welds on this are just fantastic. This is fresh out of fab. I mean, it's a great upgrade as is, but
chromoly, TIG
really
welded, hand built in-house.
Yeah, looks really, really cool before they coat it.
It gives you a whole bunch of adjustability with the suspension, so you can change, camber caster, all that stuff. It's stiff. It's got a lot of benefits, great benefits in traction, great benefits in handling. There are some drawbacks. When you run a tubular control arm, you do have more noise in the cabin from the road.
Yep.
Like, you're going to hear more things,
And
but
got a
it's
high
going to
joint.
keep your tires in place when you floor it, when you hit the brakes, nice and stationary.
Yep.
Can we make a Z and a Z?
Use that
To
as
go
the
with
P?
it.
Yeah.
That would look pretty good. But like Tim was referring to, if you don't know in the chat, Alan Mayo owns the 9-second Camaro, LTG 9-second Camaro, two whole liters of Fury. But you bought that in 2017?
It was either 16 or 17.
Because it is a 16
It
model,
is a
right?
17.
16.
The memories just came up from the 11-second pass. That was
It was 17.
to the day of the 9-second.
That's right. It was.
Was it really?
Yeah.
And for those of you that may not know this, the long block in that car is 100% off the shelf parts.
Yeah.
That thing has, I would imagine, stage 3 cams in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got our valve springs and retainers. It's got our
It's got the race studs.
That's an old forge build. So is that ZZP piston or JE?
That's the standard JE.
Okay, that's an ancient build. Like
No,
it's
that's a fairly new one.
oh, we
That's
refreshed
the
it.
tight block that we
Oh,
put together.
we
Yep.
were playing around with LTG,
piston
LSPI,
to wall. Yeah.
and experimenting with stuff. So that engine's, I guess, fresh, but yeah, it is standard off the shelf parts.
Yeah. I mean, aside from the turbo.
Yeah. The manifold is a tubular manifold that we made custom one-off like forever ago, and then it has a bigger turbo on it. What turbo does it have?
257.
A 257. All
Cheap.
right, so a turbo that is literally off the shelf.
We've sold so many hundreds of those to Cobalt guys.
Yeah.
They're cheap and they work.
They make
Yep.
a ton of power, and we're gonna start working on, at least in the R&D phases, of possibly offering a bigger turbo kit that may or may not be based around that.
Man, you know what? Honestly, I didn't know that was just
Yeah.
a 257.
Yep.
So it's not even a big turbo yet.
I wouldn't call it big, no.
It's the off-the-shelf intercooler on it too.
Yep.
Was the original one that we did.
So it's
You know,
not a
stock
race
motor.
intercooler. It's not a big race turbo. Like, that is a pretty standard off-the-shelf build, minus the manifold.
Yeah.
But, we're working on that. Like, we have an LTG manifold in the works.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nice.
When you bought the car, did you think that it would ever be into the nines?
You know, this is gonna sound really brown nosy. Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Yes. Yes. I mean,
I appreciate that because I didn't.
I honest to God, I mean, I've known Matt for a lot of years now. Watched the stuff he's done, and he's never not delivered. Never once.
That
There's
is
never
true.
been a time where Matt didn't deliver. So
He is our mad scientist.
yes, I mean the biggest hiccup in it was the trans. I would say. I would think we'd have been done if the trans wasn't a question mark.
Well, after it went 10.3s, which was like 5 years ago.
2018, yeah.
Yeah, so going on 6.
Man.
We put the meth kit on it. We picked up 50 horsepower, and we figured out how to get more boost at the line. It was ready to run 9s. Went to the track, twisted an axle. Put a V8 axle in it, went to the track, twisted an axle, and it was winter. Came out in the spring with good axles in it, and twisted the drive shaft.
Yep.
3 times in a row to the track, didn't move off the starting line. Got a drive shaft in it, that went south, went in the drive shaft, snapped, and set off airbags.
Oh,
On the
yeah,
dyno.
No, nobody died, so that's a plus.
Man, in case, I don't know if we released any footage or anything, but so I was coincidentally in the dyno room with Matt as he was dynoing this car a couple years ago, and we had an experimental drive shaft made, and it's in there, and Matt's just simply doing pulls on the dyno, and the drive shaft broke on the dyno.
I don't think the drive shaft broke. I think that yoke, the adapter yoke,
The adapter
was
yoke
at
broke?
fault, and that was just a cheap
Part,
piece
yeah.
that DNR gave us.
Which they're not even in business anymore, if I recall.
Right.
So,
And
that
that
makes me
took
feel better.
that took out the transmission and the diff and the airbags and the floor and
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it came up and hit the floor, which hit the
Yeah.
airbag sensor module. And
so then all that
everything.
came out, and then it went into a long-term project to put the V8 transmission in, and I think you're the only one that's ever done that.
Yeah. Well, you're missing the part with the drive shaft where I tried to have a drive shaft made, and then we went through 3 iterations of it, and then the car still shook after we were done.
Okay.
And it was a company down in Florida. I don't remember the name, but I had like $3,000 to that drive shaft. And finally, I just said, "Piss on this. I'm gonna put a V8 trans in it. That'll make it so I can put an SS drive shaft in it and be done with it."
Yeah.
And that's what's got its SS drive shaft. That's
Yeah, so 8L90 trans. It's had the SS rear diff for a while, right?
yeah. The SS diff is the same size as the 2-liter manual trans one.
Mhm.
So all that stuff is kind of like Legos for swapping out. So I think it's got the 2-liter one back in it right now, doesn't it?
Yep. 327.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, other than that, like, it's a fast car, and Matt, you rolled it off the trailer and first pass, as you do.
First pass,
of the whole ZZP crew. Matt runs a 9.
Yeah, it didn't feel that fast, but they never do when it goes straight.
No.
Everything works. It never feels that fast.
Looks
So.
fast.
When it's uneventful.
Yeah.
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 It's when you're steering all over that you think that it's making a lot of power, but you're just driving too far.
Yeah, and I was right behind you in the lanes, and I didn't even pay attention. You know, I'm getting up to the lanes and come around, and I was like, and you had gotten out of the car just smiling with the slip, and that easy. I mean, like you said, it's been ready to do it for a long time. So,
It would have did it in the summer, but it was too hot.
Yeah.
At Berger Day.
yeah,
It's
and
way
then
too hot.
the air got a little worse on Saturday as we progressed, and got warmer, and
That was a day of sadness anyway, so I mean, I had plenty of sadness that day too, so it just was what it was.
But yeah, aside from that, you know, we had a couple other cars there. We had our Yeti White Cruise,
Yeah.
which went 13.3, which
There's
knocked
a whole bunch of build series videos on YouTube, right?
Yeah, and that was actually kind of cool. We posted the time the other day, and some folks were asking about what was done to the car, and we documented the whole thing. I mean, A to Z, it's just off the shelf, Z04, E85, all that. Tyler Spain took it to the track, his first time ever, and lined it up and got a couple good passes out of it, which is sweet. And then we took the blue Sonic, which Randy promptly broke an axle in.
Yeah.
Sonic problems. But we'll get that back on, and apparently it didn't like 20 plus pounds on the line. and that's what we deal with on all of these auto cars, is you're sitting there loading up the drivetrain with way more than it's designed to take. And, you know, you got to find that line of right in between breaking stuff and getting your best launch. But other than that, the ZZP, the other 2-liter Camaro, mine was there, off-the-shelf Z57 build, all our bolt-ons, and right out the box, 111.3.
Yeah.
What'd your 60 foot?
Best on the day was a 155, so not bad
Nice.
for, you know, no trickery, it's been on the same tune for a couple years.
Full weight plus.
Yeah, full weight plus.
Tim was pulling extras out of
I had exhaust clamps and stuff in the back.
That's the one that makes it depressing, though, that there's not a whole bunch of low 11 second Camaros out there.
Yeah.
That car is literally, you could just
go
buy
through
all the parts in one order and just put them on.
Yeah, go through
Drive
the
it
catalog.
every day.
Drive it every day. Buy yourself a set of 17-inch wheels and slicks for the back and call it a day. I mean, even the 4-star skinnies that we have up front are almost as much weight as regular wheels. So you don't even need that. But yeah, got it down to an 11.27 on the day. So that easily has 10s in it.
Yep.
I mean, we'll make a couple changes and, you know.
Maybe it'll happen at street car, unless it's too hot. Like, I am a little nervous about that.
It'll be warm, but they thankfully run pretty late into the night. And so the air usually gets pretty good towards like 9-10 o'clock. I mean, that's when we did the 10 in the Sonic was 9:30, 10 o'clock at night at that event. So their prep's usually pretty good, and there's always a lot of people there, which make it so much better. You know.
both your cars, you know, Alan's car and your car, they're both on pretty heavy wheels and tires.
Yeah.
Like, we
it's
still
not
don't
there
have
on
like a lightweight drag pack on them.
billet, you know, aluminum
Like
wheels.
the fronts, the front runners and the rears that you run on yours are the same ones I run on my V. And when we got them, they're just Forged Star F14 drag pack. They're freaking heavy.
Yeah, they're not a light
really
wheel.
heavy. Like, I don't know if it's possible to just like put a wheel on a lathe and like turn some weight off, but like if it's possible, I'm in. Like, let's
just
do
sink
this.
it down a little bit. Oh
It's not going on Michigan roads, that's for sure.
no.
I always wondered, like, why do they build skinny so heavy? Because I remember when Kyle bought skinnies for the Slingshot, and they were like 30-pound wheels for the front.
That's a little weird.
That's wild.
He returned them.
I think
they
the
were
drag
so heavy.
car skinnies are the Grand Prix. They're like 12, 13 pounds.
Yeah.
And your ATS drag car ones are pretty light too, right?
Yeah.
Because what do you run on the drag ATS?
Just the old school Pro Star.
Okay.
Weld.
Because I remember you were
Cheap.
bragging about how light they were and how cheap and
Compared.
affordable they are.
Compared.
You know, and then you have the welds, which are a great quality wheel. They're just freaking heavy. And then the Forged Stars are like equally heavy.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand why they build them to maybe like be able to do wheelies and let off and not bend a wheel. I don't know what they're doing, but
come down hard on them.
I did see that video of Tim King wheeling his Camaro to full bumper rear tires off the ground and came down, and they have a picture and his front tires are flat. Like flat. Smashed them.
But I think one of the, like Matt was saying, even better about the Camaro was I drove it there, aired them down, ran a couple passes, and drove it home. Like, it's just that easy. Yeah, we talk about the LTG and, you know, its shortcomings, but really it makes good power, and it's a phenomenal chassis. I mean, yeah, we can make 600 out of a Cobalt all day long, but it's a front-wheel drive car, manual. It's not great, but
that's
that
one of the
alpha
benefits
chassis.
to this much time is you've worked the bugs out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's a new platform anymore. It's not like any of this is new stuff. So I mean, you know, we've gone through the melt and spark plugs and all the other stuff to where it's sorted out. I mean, you're good to go now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Jesse Enzer. Please do get that thing to the drag strip.
What's Jesse got?
He's got a full Z04 forged engine cruise auto.
Cool.
So,
Excellent. Yeah, get a tire on the front, or just take it with your street tires.
What is the quickest cruise record?
13.3.
Ours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our track day was a great day. Like we got fastest cruise.
That's it on that
Yep.
Fastest LTG.
junkyard find.
Yeah. Yeah. On the beat up junkyard cruise.
Shout out to T-Spain for his first time.
Yeah, T-Spain was learned how to drag race and took the cruise record all in like one day.
I know. Our customer Jeff McGovern had it for the first gen cruise. It was 13.9, and Jeff got it last year, and he went to the track, and now we took it back, and obviously that's an easy upper 12s car, with some more time and maybe a better tire. That's
a Z04.
Yep.
So
Z04.
That's just that good. That turbo.
Yeah, the other day I put together a top fastest list on our Chevy or Cruise and Sonic Uncensored. I renamed the page, but all the spots are Z04s, pretty much. But it's also another car that not a lot of people drag race. It's their first mod car. It's a front wheel drive car, so it might seem a little intimidating, but you don't even need anything. Just your Z04. Yes.
Almost double on the power doesn't hurt the cause either.
No, yeah. I mean, adding 100% more power really helps.
Mark was there in his cruise.
Yeah, Mark, thanks for coming out and thanks for joining us again in the chat. Mark drove all the way from, correct me if I'm wrong, but somewhere near the Twin Cities in Minnesota, came down, was staying with his brother in Livonia, and then came out for his first track day ever, and he ran his cruise down the strip. I can't remember what he did, but somewhere in the 14s, I think.
Like a 14.9 on like some
all seasons.
Like some old all seasons.
Yeah.
And it was his first time drag racing too. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's like a stickier tire and some experience away from being in the 13s as well.
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and then Alan, you were at the track day on Sunday following.
I haven't been out this year.
You weren't. Okay.
Nope, not this year.
I thought you were. I was gonna ask though about your yellow Camaro and what it runs, and give the people their lowdown on that car versus the LTG car.
That one should be good. I had overheating issues with both of them. The
Tell them what it is.
13 ZL1. It's got a bunch of stuff done to it now. Which also,
manual tranny.
Yeah. Also
lots of
tuned by
power.
Matt.
Yep. Makes what, like 700?
No.
8 or 9? Oh.
So we've got to do a lid change.
Okay.
Which I was going to bug him about touching up the tune on it, but yeah, it had an issue with the intercooler circuit had air trapped in it, so it kept pulling a bunch of timing, and
that's difficult to get.
Yeah, it was unhappy.
Yeah,
but,
all those air to water cars, they're tough to bleed, but
yeah. But that one's good. Corvette was on the same program. The Corvette pulled 20 degrees of timing at the back end of the track.
Woo.
So that'll for sure be in the 9s.
Yeah,
this go around. So I mean,
it's a killer car, but it's just funny. You set up the LTG and it's making 600, and it's a dedicated drag car at this point, but it runs 9s, and your yellow Camaro is definitely more of a street car. Although at near 1,000, it probably doesn't drive too well on the street.
I didn't like it on the street.
No, I remember you gave me a ride in it. It was like
scary.
Fun and like scary at the same time.
And that was
don't
at
know.
the lower power level too.
Yeah.
I think it was like high 6s when you gave me a ride.
Yeah.
And it was too much.
It's well, and it's like a switch. It's all there. Like the torque is a shelf. So as soon as you hit the throttle, it's there, and away you go. But I mean,
oh boy,
you can't sleep in it. I mean,
no, you're not.
You have to drive, below 60 degrees outside. No, I mean, I'm gonna go get it out today because finally the weather's got normal enough to have that make sense. But below 60, it's not. No fun.
Yeah, Mark, 14.8 with a 2.5 60 foot. So obviously you get that 60 foot down. You take it even to a 2.0, which is reasonable on street tires, and you're down in the 13s super easy. Gordon Barclay, the Zennies 615Ks, they're a good tire. If you're looking into 200 treadwears, look into their new RT660 or the RE71 RS. Those are a newer gen of 200 treadwear. But
the RT615s are just a really old. They
Compound.
were a great tire many years ago, but it's just an old tread.
Yeah.
So there's some better 200 treadwear options.
Yeah, for sure.
But Ryan's ATS is not really set up for drag racing. That's like set up for road course stuff. So he doesn't. I don't know if that car's ever been down a drag strip.
I don't think so, but
Not that I remember.
it. It would be in the 11s easy. It's
Oh, yeah.
making more power to the tire than my car because it's a manual. But then you got to deal with launching a manual.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see it, but on Matt's note, there's no reason we shouldn't have more of these cars in the low 11s, and there are a few. I've talked about them before. Robert Thomas on Facebook, he's got 2 or 3 ZZP built ATSs, and those are all low 11s. He said that he's coming out to street cars, so that'll be cool to see him, and hopefully we can line up some 11-second LTGs against each other, or 10.
It's frustrating because like I tune a lot of cars that are seeing similar airflow numbers to like what our cars make, because it's not like I tune our cars much different than I tune customer cars, and but they just don't race.
Yeah,
they just don't race. Like they're just street, daily driven cars that I don't know what they do, but it seems like most of our customer base doesn't really go to the drag strip and like prep and race their cars.
Yeah, and I've wondered how to try and make that more accessible to customers. Like, should we do a video of walking you through your first track day? Put some GoPros in the car. Say, hey, all right, I'm up at the light. You got a stage. This is what you got to do.
That would be a fun video.
I think it'd be really interesting, and maybe it helps people kind of shake that anxiety of going to the drag strip. We talk about it all the time, but dudes at the drag strip are super friendly. You can show up in your 14-second cruise and nobody's gonna make fun of you. Like, just go out and have fun and get out there. And I mean, what else do we sell all these parts and we make your car go fast?
Yeah.
And you can have fun on the street, but even if it's not for a time, at least get a mile per hour. Don't launch the car hard if you don't want to break anything. Sure, but see what it does.
Well,
most track people. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of anxiety to that, honestly, for people. They're
I
nervous
think
about going up and doing it. And I mean, honestly, the way things are getting, and as risky as that is to be screwing around on the street.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's changed my perspective. As much as they're patrolling, as much as they're going after that stuff, go to the track.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not worth losing your license. It's just not worth it. Go to the track.
For $35 for entry.
Right.
I
mean,
There's so many different kinds of events too.
Yeah.
I mean, they really mix it up. You find one that you like.
Yeah.
Like the street car takeover. If you want to do rolls,
Yeah.
go do rolls.
Roll racing, for sure. That's a fun, unique, different kind of event to go to. I mean, one reason I like going to the drag strip, because I'm not a drag racer and I don't really love drag racing. I will, but it's not my favorite thing to do. But one thing I like about the drag strip is having to pay to get in generally kind of gets rid of the riffraff, let's say. And so when you walk around the pit area, if you see a car you like, you could walk up to that person and ask them questions, and like everybody there kind of wants to talk about their car.
They
it's
spent their money on it. They want to talk about it.
Yeah, like they're there, their hood's popped, like, and you're like, hey, what's this? And they're just like, hey, cool, somebody's asking about my car, And it's fun. Like we were talking to Matt, ran into a guy that was like, hey, I want to buy a Sonic, and I see you're from ZZP, and Matt's like, yeah, go talk to the guys in the pits, and he found us, and he was like, I want to buy a Sonic, and this is what I want to do, and I'm like, oh man, like, I was like, this is the model you want to buy, this is the year range you want to buy, like, here's the options that you want to get, like, and he's just like, oh crap, cool, and it was awesome. He's like, this is what I want to do with it. And I'm like, these are the mods you want to do what you want to do with it. But the drag strip's a great place to go and hang out. Like, park your car. People ask you questions. You can ask other people questions.
Yeah.
It's friendly.
Yep.
Legal racing.
Then you got the culture too. I mean, you can throw up an easy up, bring a grill. I mean, it can
Yeah.
be a whole experience with your buddies that you can just hang out for the day and do your thing.
Yeah,
And
you don't
not
even
get-
have to race.
Right. Right. I mean, there's bathrooms there. It's not like you got to go find a tree someplace.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
it's a pretty comfortable environment.
It
a lot
is.
of the times, track food is really good too.
Yeah.
So like the food that if you don't want to make your own food, like you can buy track food and it's good.
It's like a
There's
ballpark
tracks.
hot dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hot dogs, hamburgers, like.
Yeah, like
Pretty much
Matt,
everything.
Matt was saying, find your local track, look through their calendar. Streetcar Takeover, we love and we love talking about because it is a different crowd even than from the normal days, because it is those people who are out street racing and they got the 1,000-horse GTRs and cars that typically don't go to the track, but they have roll racing, so you don't have to worry as much. And Streetcar Takeover, I think this year they're at like 15 different tracks, so they're all around the country. Find an event. We love to make a whole weekend out of it. I mean, we bring the tents, we bring the easy ups, we bring the grills, we do the whole thing up.
That's a great atmosphere too. That
Yeah.
event. The whole thing.
Yeah, everybody
It's the social event
Mhm.
Yeah.
along with the racing. And if you don't like the muscle cars, you can go there and see the Lambos and the
Mhm.
whatever else,
Porsches
Vipers, and it's kind of neat.
But you still do get like Fox bodies and all that.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
remember the couple there that had two McLarens? Was
Yep,
it?
Yeah.
Like
That's it.
husband and wife with a pair of McLarens.
Nice.
sitting right behind us in line.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty killer to have a Sonic out that
Yeah,
runs
yeah.
low 11s sitting right next to a $250,000 McLaren, or two of them.
Or like even down to seeing single digit diesel trucks.
Yeah,
Like dudes running single digits on like 35s. Like that's kind of cool. Like
That's
what
kinda
the heck?
nuts.
10,000 pounds.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just neat. Like going to the drag strip, like being in a safe environment and being able to hear cars make that much power and do hits by you. That's pretty fun too. Like that Malibu. It's like a late 80s Malibu running like
G-body one?
sevens.
Late 70s.
Nice.
Like late 70s, Mike
Yeah.
said. Like
Mike knows. Mike's got
Oh.
himself a Malibu.
beautiful car.
Was that
like
the
10
the
of
tan
10.
one?
Yes.
Oh, that one.
Like a
was-
10 of 10 condition build car running like sevens.
Yeah, I was next to him in line for a while. He had just gotten it all done, full cage, relocated pedals and driver's seat and everything. It was running a fuel tech. It wasn't an LS. It was actually an old, actual small block,
No
turbo
kidding.
small block. Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. That thing was amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get to see stuff like that you'd never see out on the street, because he's like, yeah, I got a radiator in it. I built it to drive on the street, but the dude's not going out to Sonic on Friday nights.
Henry was on vacation, but
Yeah.
he's back now.
Yep, Henry was on vacation. JP, yeah. So the LTG, the remaining car, the single one that it was in, was the Camaro, and now with the Camaro going the way of the wind, or who knows, maybe GM will bring it back, but
They'll bring it back.
yeah, they'll bring it back. They have to. But yeah, so that's gone. The LSY is their new 2-liter, and we have no experience with it. Well, who knows what it'll bring, but one thing that I wanted to circle back around to was, Matt, so you said it was on the day of the 9 that we ran the 11-second stock turbo pass?
I think so. Because that memory came up.
Yeah.
The picture of
it
the
was.
of the ET board, 1197. The car was a week old.
Isn't that funny?
A week old.
Week old.
Before
I
we
mean-
had any parts, right? It was just maybe a
Oh, that was-
downpipe?
That was the first intercooler.
Okay.
Intake, I think.
Yeah.
Slicks and skinnies. I mean, and ethanol.
No, the first iteration was on street tires. They had those Eagle F1 supercar tires in the back.
Yeah, well, 112s on that.
Yeah, yep, on that setup.
And then you picked up the slicks,
we got
and
slicks and
we
skinnies
couldn't quite get it in the 11, so we had to put Skinny Steve in it.
Yeah, we were like a couple hundredths away.
Was that at Camaro Fest or was that here?
That was here.
Okay.
It was just like an April test. Well, yeah,
Yep.
same day.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're like, Steve, you can get in there. First pass,
Yeah, he got it
11-9.
done.
Done deal.
And then that same year, we took it to. Was it the same year or the next year? We took it down to Camaro Fest with the Z54,
6758.
6758.
I
Okay.
think it had to have been the next year because we were originally supposed to go to SEMA, and then that got all.
Yeah, it was 2018 because
Weird.
I went to Camaro Fest 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, it was low 11s probably. at
11
that point.
11-3,
Something
11
like
yeah.
that. I think it ended up in the 10s, 10-9
Okay.
on that one, and then went to a 257 right after that.
Yep.
And then it was immediately, like 10-8, 10-7, inched its way down.
Yeah.
Wasn't one of those 257s didn't have a valve run through it or something, and the turbo was all tore up on the inside?
I don't remember that one. But, oh, it's been a valve through
Yeah,
it. Dang.
we've seen a few of those.
And it's had a couple different iterations. I know, Matt, you went up to a 250 or no, 261.
Yeah, we tried the AGP 261, and I didn't like it.
Spooled slower,
Doesn't
but
spool.
didn't make any more
Doesn't
power.
spool at all. That's awful.
But it's an older
It was,
gen turbo.
It was the spool of the big turbo and the power of the little turbo.
Yeah, so pretty
Oh
useless.
boy.
Oh yeah, gained 10 horse and lost.
Put a whole set on there.
700 later spool. It was not good.
Yeah,
Cracks me up when you hear people talk about bought a whole set HX.
yeah. I got a diesel HX35, and it's like
Come
this
on.
big, and it's a 400 horse
T6.
turbo.
Nick Mazur, man, you need to bring your car to the track. Yes, the LSD is amazing. However, I do want to say, if you are just straight line accelerating, an LSD is maybe not as needed as you
Yeah.
think. But if you're going to have any turning or any uneven surfaces, an LSD is crucial.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
like if you're road coursing, an LSD is a must-have. Like holy crap! Like don't even bother racing without an LSD.
especially
doing
in that,
autocross or road course.
yeah, especially in that chassis. In a Cobalt, an LSD makes a good difference, but it's not the night and day that you
No.
feel with the Gamma or the Delta 2
Yeah.
chassis. It's pretty killer.
I mean, for example, Matt's drag car, his Grand Prix. It's the fastest front-wheel drive Grand Prix, and it's an open differential.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it is not something you have to have.
No.
Now, if you go to the track and you're constantly battling one-wheel peels, then yes,
Yeah.
like look into an LSD. But if you have a good alignment and your suspension is tight and you're in a controlled environment, flat, even traction like a drag strip, then you might not need.
Yeah, your
an
wheels
LSD.
should both see the same amount of grip off that, especially on a prepped track. My Camaro's an open diff, has no problems at the track. Now on the road course, it's a little different. It definitely could benefit from an LSD,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know, actually, I think you might have one of those laying
Yeah,
around,
there
right?
should be 3 of them here, so I'm sure
Actually,
we'll figure something out.
You and I compete at the road course. No, you don't need it. You don't need it.
No, now I got my 260 wheel blower car to take to the track, so I can be slower than you all the time, and I have an excuse.
There's one on there that I'm dying to hear about too. Is the 4-cylinder Silverado?
Oh
What-
yeah,
What's going on with that?
we haven't had one.
It
They did,
as
they did offer tuning for it now.
Yeah,
Or,
it opened up as of
yeah.
a month or two ago, I think.
yeah. Ryan was just asking the other day. Customer wants a remote tune, so should be soon.
that would be cool.
I'm really curious about that motor. I mean,
Yep.
on paper, it looks like it's going to be sweet.
I want
Like-
to see the Camaro with that motor in it.
Right?
Like the 2025 Camaro, put the 2.7 in it.
Why did they stick with? Well, I know why, because it's GM. But they could have
Yeah.
put that 2.7 in the Camaro in 21
I mean, if they want to
is
be
when the
Ford,
CT4. Yeah,
you're gonna
Yeah.
need the cubes.
Yeah.
I know, and I see a lot of people commenting on our posts about the EcoBoost Mustang has been in the 8s for a couple years.
Hardly a car.
Hardly a car.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I looked it up the other day. When they went 880, it was on like 55 pounds of boost and nitrous, and it's on a Motec, and so like, yeah, the engine is
we're
there.
using a factory computer, and I scaled 3280.
Yeah.
That Mustang is
So
700-800 pounds
basic,
lighter.
let's not say basic weight savings, but like a standard like drag race car weight savings.
Yeah.
And on the factory ECM and wiring harness, like I hate that, like, because there's a lot of overlooked facts when you compare cars. You're like, oh, the ZZP built Camaro runs 9s and the EcoBoost runs 8s. Yeah, well, his car, like you can drive it anywhere you want and get
Put a
20
street
some miles
wheel
to
on
the
it.
gallon. Like it's on a factory ECM.
Yeah.
It can pass emissions and like do all this. That EcoBoost Mustang, that's a tube chassis like drag car.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
It's what we do here is always on the factory ECM.
Yes, that is a rule
That
of
is-
ZZP.
It's what we do. Yeah, and the Sonic, we could have gone way faster,
Yep.
way earlier if we would have put some standalone in it. But that's not what our customers do. So we
No.
need to learn those factory PCMs and exceed those limitations, whatever it might be, to figure out how to go quicker. So Zoom has always said it. We've always stuck to factory PCMs. I mean, your drag car has a factory PCM.
Yep.
The Grand Prix, Alan's car has a factory PCM. The Sonic has a factory. Like,
Yeah.
it's all there. And I think that's one thing that not a lot of people think about. The internet makes things tough because you go on Instagram and you see 1,000 horse cars and running 8s all day, but how many of those people are doing it with HP tuners for the 4 credits that you unlock it for? It's a lot different.
Yeah.
But
What's the low price to do a standalone on a car like that? Probably what, $4 or $5 by the time you're done.
Yeah.
well, on a DI
Yeah.
car, you only have Motec. That's it, and that's $10,000, like from the get. And then you got to have a wiring harness, and you got to put it together, and then so it's not even close. Me and Randy were talking today. The GR Corolla, really cool car, but part of your mod journey through that is you buy your bigger turbo, and then you buy a MyVec. It's a $5,000 ECU. Yeah, it's plug and play, but that's $5,000.
Yeah.
And here we ask, hey, you should remote tune with us. You got a cool build. $300 plus whatever credits. Like it's not in the same league. But
You have Alan's Camaro, which is a lightened max effort, let's say, drag car. The turbo's not max effort by any means, but like it's kind of a max effort like street car. And then you have like your Camaro, which is like the true example of a daily
car,
driven car.
Sure.
yeah,
All you did was swapped your wheels and tires and ran 11.3.
I didn't even touch the suspension.
Yeah.
I could have messed with the coilovers.
And it's
Didn't
on
do any
a
of
Z57
Z57.
off the shelf turbo,
It was-
basically. Like
It was on E70. It's still on like Winter Blend E.
Got your alignment just in time.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
day before. Yeah,
Yeah.
you were right. The alignment was off.
Oh, I'm glad, because that thing is darn near undrivable.
Well, it was a little off.
I was dodging lanes, tuning it a couple days before. But that also shows you how much you can gain from doing the extra. Alan has a slightly larger turbo. I'd say. I wouldn't say it's a lot bigger.
No, I mean,
A slightly larger
I
turbo.
think now that these cars are getting older, a lot of people are going to swap manifolds.
Yeah.
We're going to sell a cast manifold for it.
Yep.
And I think that turbo will be popular.
that's
or
a great turbo.
Yeah.
or
it's-
the new
it's-
S258.
Yeah, if the 258 is what they say, that'll be
Yeah.
great. The turbo is big enough to where you can still get it spooled sitting still on a stock converter.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's about the limit.
Yeah, you start.
I was seeing, in testing, and we saw 36 pounds sitting still. So that's enough.
That's enough.
Yeah, I mean, I called Matt the mad scientist. Like he's the guy that like innovates our new platforms, and he finds out how to make it work.
Mhm.
Like he was the first one to make an LNF do anything.
Yeah.
He figured out the fuel system, figured out all the tricks. And like with Alan's Camaro, he figured out how to get it to launch.
Mhm.
And that's like not a simple task. He's got, special boost control. He's got, ECM modifiers that he's doing to make this car launch.
Mhm.
What was your 60 foot?
That was a 142.
A
On the
1
9-second
freaking
pass.
42 with a 4-cylinder Camaro.
Yeah, it's done 1.3s in the past.
Yeah, there's more on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I launched that one at 3,500. We've had it past 4,000 sitting still, so that would have made a big difference.
Yeah. I was launching my car at 42.
But with the way the timing was set up, I couldn't get it. I
Up
couldn't
there.
get it higher
Yeah.
than that with it. I could have with a lot of tuning time to maybe add a little timing back in, but it was first try.
Yeah.
First pass, so it was good enough.
It's tough too. Like you're always battling, would we go faster with a standalone? Yeah.
Yeah.
But the customers aren't going to take that step.
Yeah.
So we need to find a way. Like, how do we sell parts to people that can do this? I mean, even right now, Matt's battling ECM stuff. Like, he's got tranny limitations that is ECM limited.
Yeah.
Will he figure it out? Of course. Like, that's like what ZZP is here for, is we have to figure out how to get the tranny to shift, making that power. It's tough. It's a lot of work. I mean, like you were saying, the car ran 10.3, 5-6 years ago, you said?
Yeah.
Like, it's that difficult, like, figuring out all these little things.
Mhm.
Like, it's easy to make your car make that first big jump, but then the little incremental get it quicker
Yep.
can take you a lot of time and a lot of work.
But what we'll see in the future is a whole bunch of people will just copy the recipe.
Yeah.
I tune
Once it's done, it's easier to do it again.
I tune so many LNFs now that just copy our recipe. So many. They're all running the 257, fifth injector, 30 pounds of boost. All of them. They all dyno 550 to 590 wheel horsepower. Some touch 600.
It's easy.
I'm tuning them all constantly.
thank
And nobody even knows
GM.
about these guys.
I thank GM for that. Like, they put that stupid LNF engine, potentially the best 4-cylinder ever made, in a stupid Cobalt that everybody else
Everyone
looked
else.
over.
Everyone ignores.
And then Matt finds one 10 years ago or longer.
Yeah.
Longer, my bad. Over 10 years ago, he finds one that's
2009.
it was totaled. And then we get it, and it's got paint marker all over it, supposedly the car's all wrinkled, and we're looking at it, we're like, this car's fine.
It was a bumper cover and the rebar.
Yeah,
Like a half hour later, Pat's like, your car's done.
yeah.
Because they had a black bumper cover.
And then all of a sudden,
it was
Matt just gets into
$9,000.
it. And that just
in 2009,
In 2009, I had like 4,000 miles.
that's a
on it.
good LNF now.
Yeah.
2024.
I thank GM like they put that badass engine in this stupid Cobalt.
Yeah. And then the intern project.
And just, man,
It's
The
a
Kappa.
great car, though.
what a great car.
A road course car.
Yeah.
And people were getting those things brand new for like 21,000.
Mhm.
And then there was the, remember the wind damage cars?
Yep.
People were picking them up for like 16 grand. Brand new off the dealership lot.
Man.
Wind damage?
It had Nürburgring
Yeah.
records for
There was
years.
some sandstorm or something, so they insurance just covered them all. They put salvage titles on them, and then they just sold them all off. So people go 16 grand, you get yourself a brand new LNF
Wow.
Cobalt. You got a great road course car.
Never knew about that.
Yeah.
The
Had
car
a
does
couple
everything.
Customers.
Yeah.
Brought them in.
Yeah.
It had factory launch control for drag racing.
I know.
Like
My wife's HHRSS has it.
an
lift shift.
HHR,
Yeah.
it's factory launch control. So I mean, you can go to the drag strip, or you can go to an autocross. You can go to a road course. You can what do you want to do? You want to go to the half mile? God, that's probably the Cobalt's favorite thing.
Yeah.
It's half mile races.
615 wheel horsepower on a stock bottom end before the rods broke.
I really think
Crazy.
that car, and especially the LNF version, was there was a little group of guys in GM, there's kind of skunk works, and they were like, please just let us have one. Let us have one, because that was at the dying edge of the early aughts. GM put SS on everything, but that car, they were like, all right, we actually have some good ideas. Let us do it.
The timing was just a little off, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the neon was little earlier.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the LSJ was a great car, but
Man.
coming from the factory with the blower was a
Could
downside.
you guys imagine if the LNF Cobalt was out at the same time as the SRT Neon?
That would have been good.
Our company would be totally different.
Yeah.
If it had come out in 2004.
Or maybe we should be thankful that it didn't, because
Maybe.
that's why we picked up this, stupid Cobalt with this dumb 4-cylinder, and it just made our business. Like, that was right around when ZZP turned around.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a lot of like closed door meetings. Zoom, Matt, and me, and a couple key people to where we're like, do we run this out or do we like push on and like and grow the company? And like the LNF Cobalt was one of those conversations. Yeah. And Matt was basically
one
like,
way or the other.
Matt was like, give me this car, let's do this, let's go for it.
When I think you and me went to Lansing to pick up the 2.4 car?
Yep.
And we got
Sundance Chevrolet.
Yeah, we got authorized. We went and picked up 4 or 3 Cobalts and a Saturn.
Really?
Yeah. Because it was either do it or don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full commit.
And,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
that was
where we
2
got
of my Ions that I raced. I had my 04, the blue one, and then the red one that has most of the records, and then our 06, two-tone we call it in-house, which that car also I would say most of the records that car has was on the factory ECM. That's the only car that we put it like a standalone ECM in, and I don't even necessarily know if the standalone really netted us that much more. Like, we had, holy crap, Matt had so much time into diagnosing that stupid rev limiter counter.
Yeah.
Like, that ECM counts the rev limiter. If you hit the rev limiter too many times, it shuts you down. So, like, I remember when you guys were drag racing it, like, you were having to, like, do the burnout box, and then, like, cut the car off, start the car back up to have a new rev limiter counter.
Yeah, you
like,
try to race at 700
yeah,
to the wheel in front drive, you're hitting the rev limiter.
Yeah.
There's no way you're not.
There's no avoiding it.
Yeah. So, like, there's so much. Like, it's a challenge, but that's kind of what you customers pay us to do. Like, you're when you buy parts from us, you're supporting us to like waste a lot of money on like shop cars and waste Alan's money.
Yes.
Yes.
It's just not. It's not the raw material cost of this plus labor time of fab. It's all of this combined into it, and this is what makes it fun. This is why we love to do this.
How many hours do you think you got in my car? I mean, I probably got to guess. I know how many hours I got into that car.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just R&D takes time.
Yeah, but it's going to be one car or another.
I mean, I'd ask you how much you have into it, but I don't want to know the answer, and don't tell me.
I don't think I know the
like,
answer.
When you're innovating a platform, like, it's
that dollar amount doesn't matter.
I think you guys have talked about this before on here, but when you try to, at the old dyno, you try to pull up our LNF Cobalt and the computer,
and it bricks the
goes
computer
blue screen.
There's so many pulls.
There was so many pulls in there that we had to start a new folder for it for whatever reason, because it won't, it just won't do it.
Yep.
It's that bad. And
yeah, I mean,
it was well past 1,000. It's probably 1,500 pulls on that car.
Matt, like, I was mad scientist thing. Like, he, has over 1,500 pulls on his LNF Cobalt. Like, he's so good with his data as well that, like, Borg Warner was sending us turbos. Mm-hmm. And Matt was giving them data on their turbos.
Which made things weird because I couldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
So when we went out and ran
just
10s,
want to.
When people are like, the new ZFR's running 10s. No, it's not the 6758, and you mean ZZP doesn't even run the turbo? They said, well, it was a weird deal for a while until they actually released it. Then we could finally say, this is what we ran 10s on, because it didn't exist.
Yep.
But Borg Warner engineers emailed me and said, hey, we like what you did with that. We want you to test these turbos. And they wanted me to break them. And so we pushed them as far as they would possibly go with a speed sensor. And 180,000 RPMs.
That's the limit.
Seems to send a
Just a
turbine
few.
wheel out the tailpipe.
Raleigh, I think it's Raleigh Kitchenoff, asked a couple of questions. One being, what's the fastest manual LSJ? And that has to be two-tone.
Yeah.
I mean, that was what, a 9?
I think that car ran 9s before it
Ran
went
9s
auto.
on an auto.
Okay.
It ran 9s in manual too, though,
No.
didn't it? Never did.
Nope.
What do you remember? What it ran in the manual?
10.3, I think.
Okay.
Something in that
So
area.
close.
Because I know it was low 10s because we had it in Norwalk for pinks, and they took a low 10s class, but we were having some issues with it that day. I mean, quite a long shot to win pinks on a stick car.
Yeah.
A turbo,
Stick.
a stick,
Front wheel drive.
4-cylinder front wheel. Yeah. You're
So,
not gonna
like-
be consistent, but
The cool missing part of this is like, okay, the car only ran like, let's say, super low 10s on the manual. We didn't have an F40.
Yeah. No, that was still an
That was on
F35.
the F35 transmission. The transmission that people
445,
break
yeah.
is stock power.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that gear helped them hold up a lot.
it helped. It relieved some stress on the old reverse Christmas trees. But yeah, like that was on an F35. Like if we had an F40, that car we wouldn't have had to put the 4T65 in
Yeah.
it. You know, it's I wish we could go back in time. Like even my car, like I ran 12.2 in my stock blower Ion with 1.2 second shift times.
Yeah.
You know?
It is
Because of the
it's cool.
synchros and the clutch, like South Bend clutch, man. Holy crap, they rang me through the ringer. Like basically South Bend clutch was using us for testing, like Borg Warner was using Matt. But
Except
they
were charging
didn't
us for
perform.
everything.
Yeah, they charged us for everything, and their clutches didn't perform.
Yeah.
Like, so there's a lot of money wasted on setting records.
There certainly is. And then he had another question. We used to offer the S252 for the Ecotech. And then he asked, are the Z Series turbos good enough? Why that's the reason we stopped offering that. And pretty much a 7163 is close enough to a 252, and it spools better.
Well, the 252 costs more than the 57 does.
And the 252
Oh, really?
compressor surges.
Ah,
The
okay.
compressor surge is the main reason we dropped the 252 and we stayed with the 256 for
Okay.
longer.
Yep.
Especially on like a 2.4. Like
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I take that back. I don't remember what car it was anymore because 2.4 is more cubes. So
it
maybe
shouldn't compressor surges.
so maybe it might not compressor surge as much as a 2-liter would, but I don't remember. But the compressor surge is why we dropped it. And then and then
And the cost,
then the EFR series came out, and then our Z series came out, and it was like, all right, get rid of this old turbo, like it's not needed anymore.
It's so much easier to say, hey, $1,000, $1,500, whatever it may be. Here's your turbo. Just take your KO4 off.
It needs a manifold and a downpipe and all that, so now you're at the cost of a 7163 with less
Yeah.
power.
Yeah, the Z series bolt on to the factory manifold. It is a way better bang for the buck. And Trevor Detling, Z54 on stock bottom end. Is it possible? Yes, but holy crap, is it risky?
It's risky.
I tune a lot of Z54, Z57 cars on stock bottom ends, but like that's tough. Like I definitely have to keep the boost down. I definitely have to tune them quite a bit differently.
Yeah, you got to keep the torque down.
Yeah, and I have to remember because it's not like the stock rods and pistons show me in the scan that they're almost ready to break.
Oh, they're either there or they're gone.
Yeah. So it's like you see that you just like you can't forget like this is a stock bottom end car. You're like, oh, there's no KR. Like let's turn the boost up. This thing wants it. Yeah, that rod is sitting there screaming for its life.
Just
like. I mean, I remember my Ion. Like we pulled my Ion engine apart, and the rods are all like pretzels. Like it didn't blow up necessarily, but the rods were all pretzels. So that means like I was wringing that thing out. So it's like when you make a lot of power, like can it handle it? Yeah.
Was that on the 2.4?
The 2.4 what? Which my
The
car?
rods? Yeah.
No, on my Ion. Or on my Sonic.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
The
yeah.
rods are all twisted. Because we put the new engine together and none of the pistons sat even. We're like, why are the pistons sitting funny? So we took the engine
That
back
piston
apart
technology.
and we're looking at the rod and we're like, holy crap, the rod is twisted.
Yeah.
Set them all on top of each other
We
at
put
once.
We put a KO4 on a late 2.4
Ooh.
setup.
Ah,
We did one dyno session.
Yes.
And we took it apart and all the rods were bent.
yep,
They didn't break.
Yeah.
Yet.
yeah.
Yeah.
If that was in a street car, they would have broke eventually.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so you can Z54 a stock bottom end, but like, man, you need to scream at your tuner that it is a stock bottom end. And
And maybe have a backup block.
yeah,
You know?
like save your money and like be ready to build a forged engine. And like those blocks are not cheap. So
Yeah.
like,
No, I get customers too that tell me, don't worry, I have forged pistons and rods, sitting here on the counter. And it's like, do you have a block?
because you
should-
might not if your stock rod breaks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's go ahead and get those in there before you ask me to turn it up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because when you got to buy the block, take it to the machine shop, figure out that it's the wrong year and your starter's different.
Yeah.
The mounts are different. Like, it's not like a LSJ or an LNF where you just buy another one and throw it in. It takes, fuel rail pressure sensors are different. There's quite a bit. So take it out, put those rods and pistons in, and then not have to worry.
Wait, now I'm Clint Eastwood.
Hey.
I was John Travolta the other day.
Yeah, what is
I
that?
saw that.
What is? I don't get it.
Trevor,
Something I'm not seeing.
I see your added comment. The pistons and rods, I would almost say, are equal weak points. If anything, the piston is slightly weaker, but that rod is not much stronger than
Yeah.
the stock piston. So, like, I would do rods and pistons at the same time.
For
Like,
sure. If you're going to
It
have it
is
apart.
just too expensive to have that rod fail, man. Like, that rod is going to fail at 7,000 RPM. And just imagine what happens when a rod snaps at 7,000 RPM and you have 3 other pistons trying to drive that thing around that block. Like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness.
The Subaru mod.
Yep, the Subaru mod. Preston, compressor surge is basically when the turbo can take in more air than the engine can induct. So that's like, if you're in a higher gear on a larger turbo car and floor it, you'll hear it go
Yep.
up through the RPM range. And it's, if you look and figure out how compressor maps work, you'll see that there's the surge line on the left side. And basically it's that the turbo's making more air than the engine can take.
Yep.
But Brandon says, what's the most power you can make on a stock LNF? Well, like Matt said,
He made over 600.
Some will crack the block at 450. If the block doesn't crack, 600.
yeah.
It's about
The internals,
Years, right? Is that the block cracking issue? Or is it random?
yeah,
I think it's all of them.
Kind of random.
yeah.
But if you run 550 for a while, the rods are bent when you take it apart.
Mhm.
So I would say 525 is for long term.
Yeah, get yourself the LHU Regal block and then, put rods and pistons in it and then turn it up. Like, it's just not worth the risk. Like,
Mhm.
you're not going to get a record. You're not going to get a trophy or money for setting a record on the stock short block.
No,
like,
no.
just put the good stuff in it because it'll be cheaper to do it before it blows up
Absolutely.
than after.
Raleigh says, do you guys plan to get the 258? That's what Matt and I were talking about earlier. We're going to get one in. We're going to do some testing. At least from what Borg Warner says, it looks pretty magical. We would love to offer it for all our platforms. I've got one remote tune customer that already has one ordered. He's got it. He's getting the T51R mod, so it's taking a little bit longer, but I'm really curious to see how it performs, but it should be great.
According to the map, we should be looking at another 40 horsepower on Allen's Camaro at the same boost.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's real, but
One way
They've
to
been
find
pretty.
out.
that's what the map says.
Yeah, they've been pretty honest. But any reason to remote tune the rev limiter 6900? KO4 won't make much power. Well, I mean, you don't want your rev limiter at 5800. That's too low.
I I mean, the LNF, like, it tells you when it wants to be shifted.
Yeah.
And that's like a little over 6,000 RPM.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the rev limiter's kind of like not even needed on that engine
If you got
because...
stock valve springs and a stock turbo, shift it at 6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It won't make a difference. Shift it at 55, 65, it won't make a difference.
That engine has such a wide power band and so much torque.
uh-huh.
Like, you do not have to ring it out like an LSJ.
Yeah.
An LSJ is a totally different story. Like, that engine...
Take it to the moon.
Yeah, take it to the moon, put valve springs in it, and set the moon higher. Like, LSJs make peak power at darn near the rev limiter.
Yeah, I just had my blue Cobalt on this morning, and rev limiter 7,200 and made peak power at 68.
I think it's hilarious because the LSJ, the factory rev limiter is 6,500 RPM.
Yeah.
Same with
And
the
then
LNF.
the peak power of the engine is like between 66 and 6,800. It's
Well, what's
hilarious.
Interesting though, when you take them bone stock and you raise the rev limiter, you run out of injector.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Literally, you've done no
Yeah.
mods.
Yeah.
Just set the rev limiter at 7. The power's still going up until you run out of injector.
Yep.
I've got a remote tune customer now, like great running car, stock injectors, stock pulley, all that. But every time he emails me, I'm like, all right, dude, yes, this car runs great, but you get to 6,500 and then the injector duty cycle goes whoop,
Yep.
and the pulse width goes whoop, and he's like, yeah, but I don't really want 60s. I'm like, well, leave it.
Put a boost reference fuel system kit in it and
Yeah.
full fuel boost reference it.
Yeah.
Then you're good. Like, that's what I do with the Sonics. Like, oh, you're out of injector. Pay your 2 credits or you pay your 1 credit to HB tuners, and then let's unlock the FSCM and crank the fuel pressure to 75.
Yep.
58, 75, that makes that injector quite a bit bigger.
Yep.
I mean, I made 255 wheel horsepower on my V3 Sonic with 42-pound injectors.
Yeah.
But my fuel pressure was like 75 pounds
Yeah.
on E85, too.
We'll grab a couple more questions here. I think we're after 5.
Oh.
So last few. LNF 257. Do you need a bolt and washer with some sealant to block off the coolant housing on the back of the block? I mean, if you're removing the coolant lines.
Yeah, we have that. We stuck that bolt.
Yeah. If Optimized Gaming, if you need one, reach out. We'll get you one. Trevor Detling, how far can you push the ZZP big wheel turbo on the LTG? My Camaro had our big wheel on it before the Z57, and I think it made something like 335, 340. Plenty.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, plenty of power. E85. Good turbo. The stock turbo's great. Similar to the LNF. Super wide torque band. It's a lot of fun. And
That big wheel turbo, if you have a really, really good condition stock turbo, you're going to get single-digit gains out of it, maybe double-digit gains. But what I've noticed now with these cars getting older is the stock turbos just get whooped.
Yeah.
And they can't hold boost. So then that's when the big wheel turbos are a big upgrade.
Nice refresh. You got a larger compressor wheel. It's all around good upgrade, especially for the price.
Yeah.
But since we're past 5, let's go around the table, starting with you, Tim. What are you doing this
So
weekend?
I was thinking
Oh, yeah, what you got?
we should do around the table most memorable track experience.
Ooh.
Doesn't even have to be you driving. Just
Oh, I like it. All right, so just in case customers cannot hear what Mike just said behind the camera, is most memorable track experience. I've got 2, and I'll keep them short.
All right.
One was a buddy of mine, Drew, was like, "Hey Tim, I'm gonna go to the drag strip tomorrow. Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I had my black ATS-V. And I went and borrowed, I think the slicks and skinnies off Steve's Camaro, or I don't know. Like, we had some 5-on-120 slicks, and I borrowed
think he might
them.
have still had his ATS-V back then.
But I borrowed them from another car,
Oh, okay.
maybe.
Anyway.
And I put them on the back of the car and went to the track and took the fastest ATS-V.
The fastest manual ATS-V.
Like, just like that.
Yep.
Like, a buddy was just like, "Hey, you want to go to the drag strip?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I'll just go around to horse around." That was fun. And number 2 was I went to Grid Life, a gigantic event you can't even get tickets to anymore.
Yep.
And I placed second in time attack, with that same ATSV. That was pretty awesome. It's yours.
So it was 2010, 11 when I had my first Camaro SS. The tran's been in and out, in and out, in and out. Finally went. They're like, listen, we want you to use launch control. The factory stuff in it. Stock street tires, not making a lot of power, and it broke the rear end. Matt was there, like sitting there right after the burnout went to launch. It didn't even move. Broke the rear end in it. Matt, somebody else helped push it back, sent it to the dealer, just made a note. Diffs broke, fix it.
So not a good one.
No, it got traded.
Memorable, yes. Not a good memory.
No.
Oof.
I got a guess for Tyler's. Go. Let's see. Let's see if I'm right.
Pretty easy. Sonic running tens is, how
a task I said was impossible.
Impossible, yeah. And we did it. But really, it was the whole journey and how much we went to the track and how often and how much we worked on the car and just to bring it all together. And the best part was pulling into the pits and all you guys were there.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Like, yeah, we could have done it at some random test and tune where it was just a couple of us, but coming back in and everybody was there was probably the best. Yeah, that would be mine.
I can't wait for Matt.
Oh, there's so many. There's so many. Oh man, I really like the one where we had to run the last pass of the year at Stanton to get tens out of Ken's car.
Oh yeah.
When we were all thrashing in the pits to get that new cog belt on there, and they shut down the lanes, and I was arguing with them. We got a minute.
What year? Approximate.
4 maybe.
So 2004. This is a Grand Prix GTP that we weren't tuning back then.
No.
So this car you had to
yeah,
steering wheel buttons
yeah.
did things.
Different buttons were different signals for TPS, I think.
Yep.
That would make it shift at different points.
Yes.
And then you had to launch with the shifter one way and then
Switch
shift it and then switch performance shift on, but then hold a button.
Oh man.
So cool.
I have
so much
no idea.
stuff.
Matt has lived through so much of that kind of crap.
Yeah.
Oh my!
But we couldn't
if we only had
hook the car.
video of you making a pass in that car,
We do. We couldn't get
need
it
to
to
pull that
hook. So then Zoom was like, "Oh, just throw my good Mickeys on there, and we go to put them on there and they hit the calipers.
Yep.
We had a giant grinder and this
Been there.
big
Oh, yeah.
inverter,
I've been there.
and we're sitting in there revving up the car. And it's like slowing down the car, we're running this grinder. People are, it's like, what are they doing? Sparks flying and everything. Got the wheels to fit and got up there and did the burnout and broke the cog belt. And it was like, this is it, man. The track closes. So I come back to the pits, man. And Zoom's like, we got 5 minutes. We got like 6 guys under the hood. We're like throwing wrenches and doing stuff. And I get it swapped out and get up there. And they're, nope, closed. And I'm like, 1 minute.
Yeah. It's plenty.
And he's like, and then he goes back up there and they had to turn the
Turn the
stuff
thing
back on, made a solo pass and ripped off the first supercharged 10 in a Grand Prix that there was. It was a pretty good one.
centrifugal supercharged
Yeah.
GTP.
Yeah, people were going nuts. It was kind of crazy. But I like the one at IDD too.
Yeah.
When Zoom walked through the competitors' pits and found out that the owner was just a liar. Just a complete liar.
Yep.
Just through and through, everything he said was a lie. All
We were
of it.
competing with somebody that would constantly be one cheat ahead of us.
Yep.
17
cheat.
lies.
Yeah.
Our cars are all full interior. They weigh 3,800 pounds. Just on and on and on. And Zoom walks through the pits and he comes back and he's like, I can't believe what I just saw. We're like, what? So Zoom's sitting here with this full plush leather interior and a cat
skin,
full
interior.
Yep.
and all that. We're racing against cars that are gutted tin cans. All of the Intense cars. All of them. No carpets, no AC, no catbacks, one little lightweight race seat. It was all lies.
What I love is how Intense used to say first to this, first to that. They were first to slicks and skinnies. They were like first to gutted interiors.
First to gut a car. Yeah.
Like,
first to take off the AC.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
And we found out that their cars were 600-700 pounds lighter than ours.
Oh my
We-
gosh.
And
Man, that was a good day, man.
that was the day that Zoom was testing out the L36
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
because the stroker failed on Thursday and we had to race on Saturday.
Yep.
So this was a new test, and it was running pretty fast, but Intense thought they beat us with a nitrous car at that, even though they kept on claiming that that's what we were doing, but they were openly doing it. It was weird. It was really weird. So Zoom was like, Matt, get in the car, and I went out there and I beat them on the first pass. And so then that's when they took their car off the trailer and melted it down. We helped them push it on the trailer. And then we continued to go out there and run 4 passes round robin.
Man, that was awesome.
When everybody else was done racing, we ran 4 passes without shutting the car off.
New record.
And, like,
set.
Every single run was faster than the last. And they were all 3,800 records. 4 in a row with the entire event standing there watching.
yeah, that's
That
cool.
was what, 03?
I don't know,
You were there, Tim?
around
Yeah,
there.
I was there. That was Norwalk, Ohio,
Yep.
at their event.
At their
It was
event.
Intense Drag Day, like 2003.
They had
Like-
4 flagship cars. They were all melted down
You know what? I think it
And
might have been like 01
pushed.
or 02.
onto trailers, all 4 of them. And we ran Zoom's car round robin, 4 records in a row, while the entire crowd watched. I mean, you can't
Yeah, you can't, beat that.
beat your competitor any better than that at their own event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much when the tides turned and ZZP started being the cool place to like.
I'm guessing that was 2002.
No, it was
And
later.
then-
It was a little bit later than that, I think.
And because 03 was when I ran 10s in my Grand Prix at Intense Drag Days. And I was
No,
like,
I was at Nationals. You were at Nationals.
was that at Nationals? Oh, okay. That was like 03
I was at
Nationals. Like,
yeah.
Matt's got the best memory out of any of us.
I just say it's a good thing he went last because nobody's following
I
that.
know.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Oh,
That was-
that was a good time.
that was a good
And then the
time.
car drove back 4 hours.
Yeah.
To Michigan, and it was pretty good.
And
Hard to beat that.
maybe we show up to Cadillac Attack and do the same thing.
Yeah.
Might be the
Oh, I can't wait for Cadillac Attack this year. Matt, hopefully we'll have your red car.
I don't know about that.
Man, I hope
We
the
gotta
red
wait.
car's ready.
I don't know how it would be. We got way too much stuff to do.
we do
You
have a
know.
lot to do, but we do plan to make it to a Cadillac Attack, whether it's this year or next.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean,
Cadillac-
eventually that car will be a nice showpiece, but I mean, we have more important things to work on right now.
We do. ATSV is definitely not the highest priority,
Mhm.
but they have a Cadillac Attack Ohio too.
Ah,
I just saw them
okay.
post about the other day,
All right.
so it's something to think about.
All right.
You know, I wouldn't mind bringing my manual tranny there. I mean, it'll be the fastest manual tranny there, and then we've got 2 other ATSVs. So
Yep.
you know, we've got an auto one. You know, that'll be a stock turbo record taker,
Mhm.
and then Matt's car. Like when that gets ready, that'll murder the competition. It'll be a good time.
Yeah.
This could be a good year.
I think this will
It's
be good.
starting off good. Like this
Yep.
last track day, like the cars were like pretty prepped, but like not as prepped as they could be. Like we don't even have drag packs on our
Yeah.
cruises and Sonics yet.
No.
We don't even have a drag
We
pack for
We-
the cruiser.
We do
Sonic.
not. We do not. We
You know,
got
the
to-
drag one has re-drilled hubs, so
Yep.
I mean, you can't borrow the drag cars,
Yeah.
you know, stuff. So
Heck, the Cruise still had snow tires on it on
Yeah.
the back. So thank you everyone for joining us. We went a little bit over, but appreciate it. Everyone in the chat, we love you showing up, asking questions. Let us know what you want to hear about next time, but we'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.
have a good weekend.
Have a good night.